Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Rangers Rabble post-match reaction on the Champions League qualifying round. It finished Servette 1, Rangers 1. Rangers are through 3-2 on aggregate. And listen, that was as comfortable as you wanted, wasn't it? That was easy. No, it wasn't. It was obviously a bit of a shit show in the first half. But listen, second half was worth talking about. We'll come to all of it. I'm delighted to say I've got two guests. We're supposed to be three, but one of them's internet's playing up. I think he's bought it from Ian down in Norwich. So we're going live just with these two wonderful guests. Of course, we've got Mark. Mark, how you doing?
Not too shabby. How's yourself? It's been a while. Mate.
It has been a while, mate. Yes, it's good to share the screen with you again. But to be fair, I haven't really been on with anyone, so I'm only just getting back into it. And Lewis, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing quite well, all things considered. Happier than I thought I was going to be for that first half, so happy days.
Just missing John Lundstrom.
Hi.
And welcome to everyone in the chat. I can see everyone that's joined us. The comments are already going mad, so I'm sorry if I'm going to miss a couple of really good points early on. But do get your comments in. We'll bring them up on the screen. I can see a few coming in. It's just so quick. It's going mental. This is like baptism of fire coming back. But straight away, look at this. Paul putting in a good point. 32 to 33 degrees on the pitch is always going to be hard. Yeah, very good. I didn't even take that into consideration when I was moaning about the first half. So good point there, Paul. So let's start at the beginning then, Mark. First half, I mean, team news comes out. I was pretty happy with the team. I would have probably had Lammers in all honesty. But apart from that, I thought I could see what he was doing, maybe a bit more width. It was all about getting the job done. And I thought we started really, really well. Like, really on the front foot, high energy, trying to force mistakes high up the pitch. And it just seemed like we picked up where we left off from Livingston. And I thought, we could get a couple of early goals here and we're going to have the slippers on.
Very much so. I thought we started really, really well. Very positive. Looking to get in their faces and get up the park. I couldn't fault it. Team selection, I'm much the same as yourself. I would have went with Lammers. But can't really argue with the team selection. I've seen what he was trying to do. I think that when right up till they scored, I think we were looking like the better team. I think they were struggling. And I think as soon as they scored, it I think it gave us a wee bit of a fright. We looked spooked. I think that, I mean, I'm sure we'll pick the bones of it much more, but I think that the defence looked a bit nervy and a bit rusty, especially Goldson. Goldson looks slow. He looks as if he's lost a yard to me. I don't know whether it's maybe just because he's not 100% fit yet, but I don't know. Just there was something missing for Goldson tonight. As I said, very rusty, but I'll give him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, I think we were discussing it in the group chat as well, weren't we? That it seemed like he was being saved for this. He's coming back to fitness, but I don't know. After the first half, it almost felt like Balogun would have been the better choice there. But yeah, maybe it's just a case he's just getting back up to fitness. And to be fair, I thought at the end actually he made two cracking headers to sort of clear the danger out. So he did sort of grow back into the game after that sort of slow start. Lewis, the game sort of started turning when they got that first real breakaway, I thought. And they started to realise they could get in behind. And what became a common theme in the first half really early on was that Jack Butland is proving to be a very, very good signing. He made an unbelievable stop to keep it 0-0 then. And you know, let's be fair, it wasn't a good first half. I think we know this. But Butland stopped it being a very, very bad first half.
I thought that first save was tremendous. It certainly lives up to Alan McGregor's stature for me. It was a fantastic save, and you think that goes in that early after us kind of being the team on top in the very, very early stages. It's a different game. It completely changes the mentality for Rangers. And you talked about the defence. Like Mark said, I think Goldson and Suter, but Mer Goldson looked very shaky at the start. And they both looked unbelievable in the first leg, so it was quite surprising. Goldson was rested, so the fitness problem for me now is not good enough for Goldson. I think he's been given a chance to miss a game in order to get back to 100%, and he's also played a fair few games as well. So I think they both did start to settle in the second half. But Tavernier, man, I know he scored right, and I know in the group chat I was slating him, and 3 seconds later he scores. A wee bit of reverse psychology, but that is maybe one of the worst performances I've ever seen for Tavernier. He just could not string one fucking pass together. Every cross was wayward. He was just lost defensively. He was so poor. And that goal cannot hide that performance, because if he continues that, the goals are eventually going to be outweighed by the weakness that he gives in terms of his defensive lack. So for me, this is a big wake-up call for Tavernier. Goal or no, that performance is so worrying.
Yeah, no, I completely agree there. I think we discussed it a little bit in the chat, but he's his passing was just all over the place. And listen, I think with Tav, I'm not one of these guys that I want a defender just to defend. I get that with Tav we get defensive lapses, but we also get so much output going forward. But today the problem with that was we didn't get a lot of output. Yeah, we got a goal. I know the goals obviously sent us through, but that could have been so much more if his passing was so much better than it should have been. The one to Raskin just summed him up for that game, where Raskin somehow then wins it back and gets a free kick out of it. But he's just every pass. I think I counted like 2 that went to our players. But listen, they're all growing back into it. I don't think Tav's going to be replaced this season, in all honesty. So it's whether I actually thought once we just see someone mentioned the tenant stop army. I only put it up there to wind Scotty up, by the way, because he hates it. But yeah, I thought once we moved to that back 3, I actually thought Tav looked a lot better. Maybe it's a bit more freedom. Maybe that sort of worry on the defensive side plays on his mind a little bit. I don't know. But on the first half, then Mark, again, I see a few people sort of mentioning Danilo there. He misses a really good. It is a really good chance. But it's not. I don't think it was a really easy chance. I think it's a really good chance, but not a really easy chance. Maybe a guy at the top of his level, sharp, puts that in the back of the net. But I think he's just put it under his boot a little bit, and it's gone wide. But apart from that, someone mentioned it in the chat, and I'll try and find the comment. But I thought his link-up play in the first half was actually one of the bright spots of the half. His touches, his movement. I thought he was really good, and I think as that front 3 and front 5 really start clicking, that could be really important for us.
Yeah, I think he looked, like you said there, for me, it looked pretty sharp. His link-up play was good. His movement was really good as well. Sitter should have scored that goal. I think probably you would have scored that, Stu. He's got to be putting that away. I mean, I'll try and make an excuse for him. I don't think there's a great excuse that you can make. Possibly thought that I'm not too sure who slid in before him. I thought that he must have thought that he was going to get it, and I think he's took his eye off it. But regardless, that should be in the back of the net. I don't care who you are. That's right up there. I mean, we've tortured Sakala for misses in big games. No, as I said, benefited out just in a door. Looks apart, good movement, good link-up play. I'm not going to start slaughtering players 3-4 matches in. I've already been down this road. A lot of people, all of a sudden, he was a messiah. Dessers was terrible. Now, obviously, he's not had the best of games. I still think he was all right. But now, he's terrible, and Dessers is a messiah now, because Dessers come on and was all right for 20 minutes. So I just need a bit of balance, please. Come on, folks. Let's screw the nut here. But yeah, should have done better with a goal. I thought he first half his link up play was quite good. I thought he kind of got isolated a wee bit. I think that when Servette get their tails up, they scored and get their tails up. I think that he kind of fell away. But to be fair, he wasn't the only one that fell away. So I'm not going to beat him up too much for that. We're through. And that's the bottom line. That's all that really matters at the moment. As I said, possibly a bit more progression, but as I said, we're through. End of story.
Yeah. I want to come on to this as a bit later, because I'm dying for him to be amazing for us, and he's obviously started quite slow. I actually thought he was a little bit sharper, so it wasn't great, but he was sharper. And that little moment with Cantwell, the sort of chest layoff, the 1-2, and then beyond, he probably should score. To be fair, the keeper makes a really good save, but that showed me a little glimpse that okay, maybe he's going to be this player that I've watched quite a few times in Holland. Well, I'm hoping so anyway. Towards the end of the half, then Lewis, the Servette break on us again. Butler makes another really good save. If the boy squares it, we're 2-0 down and we're in big trouble. So do you think that's the sort of... Listen, we were talking before and I was saying Servette are a poor side. There's no getting around it. They're a very poor side. They're organised, but they are poor. And there's just no getting around. They didn't really have any real weapons apart from what we assisted them with. But I just thought the game maybe went in their heads a little bit because it was a bit like us at home that we just didn't take our chances. And same could be said today. But for them, they could have been 2 or 3-0 up at half time there. Or 3-1 if you count our chance. So do you think that just got in their head a little bit, especially they knew that we were going to come out a bit revitalised as well?
To be honest, no, I don't think it got in their head. I just think they're a poor side. I think they're a level or two below Rangers. And I mean, the comments are hilarious because people are so one-sided for different bits of the argument. And talking about PSV saying they're going to tear us apart. I mean, let's not forget we were relatively poor last year as well at the start of the season. You know, we lost the first game against USG and we looked very poor, and then we even drew at Ibrox to PSV but went on to win. So talking about them going to tear us apart is a bit silly because see if we play at our level, we probably have a similar scoreline against this team that PSV have got against Sturm Graz. I think Sturm Graz and Servette are relatively similar, and I think us and PSV at the top of our game are actually relatively similar. So that talk's just silly for me. You wait until you see what we're going to be like the day before we play PSV, no 2 weeks before. But no, in terms of Servette, they're a poor outfit, and that offside attempt from John Souttar I get because that's modern football. That's just a tactic that modern day defenders attempt now. But the problem for me there was Borna Barisic. Like, come on, when you're 7 years of age playing 7-a-side football, you're told to play at the fucking whistle, and he's a professional footballer, and he's sitting waving at the official to pull the flag. Do you know what I mean? Like the guy that's gone through, exactly if he squares that, it's game over. And not to mention that's Barisic's man, and he's already about 10 yards ahead of him because Barisic's just too busy waving. It's just pure amateur defending. So I think if that's a better team, we're out. We are out because that is a clear-cut opportunity. And it would have been an open net because I think Butland did actually pushed it to try and block the shot. So very, very poor defending.
Yeah, 100%. Listen, I thought I'm one of Borna's biggest critics recently. I thought he was much better today. I like the fact that he was bombing on a lot more, and obviously his cross fullback to fullback like the old days, which we'll get onto a little bit more. But I thought he was a lot better. But like you say, that sort of stuff is just unforgivable for me. Tab had something similar in the second half where he tries to win a ball and he gives a free kick away, and he's arguing with the ref, and they take the free quickly into where he should be. Luckily, Cifuentes comes in and covers. But yeah, so we're going to go on to some players as well, but we will talk about the goal as well. So we'll get to that, Mark. We started the second half really well. Again, I thought high energy, high press. Everyone seemed to be working in tandem with each other. They knew where to press and when to press, which just forces mistakes. And we saw that as the game sort of went on and they tied. And that was the first glimpse I thought towards the end where we saw the fitness come into play and maybe what Michael Beale was talking about, that we can go a lot longer than these other teams because we look like we have the legs at the end of the game. But we get the goal, we get back on level terms. Barisic puts a cross into the back post, and I mean, you've seen this so many times over the years, and I don't want to use it as an excuse that these two should definitely be our fullbacks for the foreseeable future, but it just seems like that never goes away. Borna Barisic to James Tavernier, and he puts his head in where it can hurt, to be fair. He gets down and puts his head in there and just gives us a huge lift and such a weight off the shoulders of it. Because I'll be honest, when that goal went in, all my nerves went. I wasn't really worried about Servette once we got level. It was only at 1-0 that I thought they could damage us.
Yeah, I think the goal was massive for us. The goal you could see, like I said before we come on, I think that this, because they're such a new side, I think that they don't really know how to react to going a goal down collectively. I mean, I think that it's a case when we go a goal down and they get their tails up, that they kind of looked at each other as if to say, what do we do now? And I think we struggled. But I think our goal was massive. Great cross in. Tav, as I said, up to that point had an absolute stinker. We're not going to sugarcoat that. I think he never had his greatest game, but do you know what? He's turned up and he's put the ball in the net, and he's done that for his time and time again. There's frailties there, yes, but as I said, he was in the right place at the right time. And how many times has he done that for us? We got a massive lift for that. You could physically see everybody in the team calming down a little bit, trying to put their foot in the ball. So I said before that we were kind of headless chickens all over the place in the first half, especially. But no, as I said, we needed that goal. We needed that goal to settle us, definitely. As I said, and I think we kicked on for there.
Yeah, someone's made a good point. I've completely lost it. Smoke Jaws, every match's been improvement. I pretty much agree with that. I think we've got better each game. It's slow improvement, and it's not like a full 90 minutes yet, but it is getting there. Luke saying struggle against Servette, PSV a different animal. Now I completely concur with this, and I do get where people are coming from. I myself said if we play like that, PSV would probably tear us apart. The thing is, I don't think we play like that against PSV, in all honesty. I think against better opposition, we play better. There's still no guarantees, of course. PSV could still roll us over. But I don't think it's as simple as we played like that against Servette, we played like that against PSV. I think a bit like last year, like Lewis mentioned, I was really worried going into those PSV games, and they were very close in both legs. They could have gone either way. So, although by all means they seem to have improved since last year, so it will be very interesting, that one. What else have we got in these comments before I carry on? Someone's saying, exactly. Where is it? We'll have a go at PSV. Europa ain't a disaster, as we know. Exactly. And this is the other thing, Lewis, as well. I don't want to accept it because I want the Champions League. It's going to be the last, as far as we know, the last sort of format of the group stage of Champions League for the foreseeable future before it moves into that league format. I would love to be there in the groups one more time, sit there, get that group stage draw. But today was so important for finance-wise in terms of guaranteeing us that extra 5 million, regardless of what happens now. Obviously, it's going to be a lot more if you qualify for the Champions League, but I think there was more pressure on today's game than there will be on PSV, despite the pot of gold at the end of the PSV game. I think today's game was the big pressure, and hopefully with a little bit of that pressure off, the players can express themselves a little bit more in the PSV game.
Aye, 100%. Listen, I think this time when we play PSV, the real team that is of better quality will prevail, because it's now the second time that we've played each other in successive seasons. So other variables like stadiums and not playing each other before and stuff like that are not going to come into play. We've both played at the PSV Arena and Ibrox, so it will come down to quality. But I think that I seen comments saying like we struggled against Kelly, so how we going to beat PSV? Style is what matters in football games. You could go and we could play like, but Celtic beat Barcelona with 10% possession, and then they could go and lose 1-0 to St Johnstone with 90% possession. It's not how football works. You can't just add up on different results in different teams and hope that that's going to result in other games. It's very specific things that come into each fixture, and you don't know, we might be completely settled in the next fortnight when we come to play PSV, and PSV are going to give us opportunities. That's the thing as well, that they are not going to come here and fear us, and we're not going to fear them either. So it's going to be very back and forth when we play PSV. Servette played very Scottish against Rangers. They sat in 90% of the both fixtures. PSV are not going to do that. No way. I think we just need to hope that the team keeps improving. You need to be able to sit on both sides of the argument and have a bit of intellect, right? You can't just say that these players aren't good enough, because there's things like fitness and adapting to a new country and adapting to a new team. There's 8 new fucking signings. Go and you try and play football with eight or seven guys you've never played with before, because it's not going to work after 4 occasions. It's going to work after maybe 7 or 10 occasions. And I know you don't necessarily get that time at Rangers, but we've just had a massive rebuild. There needs to be time given. But at the same time, if they're not performing continuously and there's players to replace them, then they need to be took off. Like, for example, why the fuck is Ianis Hagi not getting an opportunity? Where is Hagi? I'm actually asking, what do you think on Hagi?
I just called Beale up quick. He obviously, I don't think he fancies him. In all honesty, I think that's the simplicity of it. He just doesn't fancy Hagi. We've got a lot of players that I don't know whether it's that whole we play so narrow that I thought that would suit Hagi, but the fact that the midfield, and I do want to touch on some of that, especially Cantwell. Cantwell runs his bollocks off all game. Like, that's one thing I've noticed this season straight away. Like, he does not stop running, which is not something I thought we were going to get when we signed Cantwell. I thought he was going to be this sort of technical flair player, but he puts a shift in every single game. And I think with Hagi, maybe it's him getting around the pitch, supporting. You know, if we've got Dessers up there, then it's not the fastest striker we've got. I don't know. Whatever it is, for some reason, Beale just doesn't fancy him because he can't even get a minute, and that's baffling to me. To not even come on in stoppage time.
He's the only player that has not had a genuine opportunity yet, which is baffling to me. I know Matondo impressed, right? But anybody who said they would have foreseen that is absolutely lying, because the guy has been a ghost his full career at Rangers so far. I just think somebody like Hagi, like you said, it might be an athletic ability thing because he's slow as a week in the jail, but technically he's one of the best we have. And if Beale wants to persist with that diamond, Hagi needs to be given an opportunity in there. He needs to be played somewhere in that diamond to see how he is. He's ambidextrous, able to use both feet. He's got skill. He's got an eye for a pass. He's got some of the best vision in the team. And he was one of our best performers in the 55 season, and he went through a horrendous injury, and he's just not even been given the opportunity. He's a guy that's also loves the club as well. It's not about dropping somebody permanently. It's about getting an opportunity. You give guys like Sina an opportunity continuously, and Hagi doesn't get one.
But I think he will get. I think he will get a crack at it. Definitely, he will get a crack at it. But my thoughts exactly. I was thinking it before that got brought up there. Who do you drop at this moment in time, Lewis? Who are you taking out the team to put Hagi in?
You take Sima. I think it's proved tonight that boy cannot start for us.
So you're playing him wide in a 3?
No, because when the wide players didn't work, what did Beale do? He went to up top. And if you don't want to play Hagi up there, you then put somebody like Lammers in there and drop Hagi in behind where Cantwell was playing. Because Cantwell's best performances.
So you drop Cantwell?
No, you pull Cantwell back. No, you pull Cantwell back.
So right. So you're playing a diamond then, and you're playing.
Aye. If Beale wants to persist with that diamond, aye. Because Cantwell can play at the 8, can't he? I think some of his best performances have been there this year.
I 100% agree with you. I just see. I know what you're trying to say. I think he's a smashing player, and I think that he will get an opportunity. I think he will. But at this moment in time, he's trying to integrate all these new players, and he's trying to find his best 11. And I just think, as it stands at the minute, he fancies Lammers and Cantwell in front of him, and there's Dowell in the mix as well. So the hard part is, how do you put him into this side? The only way that he's going to get into this side is if we're cruising. I've got a funny feeling you'll maybe see him against Morton.
But aye, that's a good opportunity.
I think that, but you need him to come back in and ease himself back into it. I know he's fit. I know he's in a pre-season, but the boys no kicked a ball for a year and a half, and I think that we all want him to do well. I mean, but listen, we're all Rangers fans. We all want all the players that we've signed to all do well. But the problem is, we've got a really big squad at the moment, and we've got a really big squad, as far as I'm concerned, are a lot of talented players. And the problem is, you can't play them all. The problem is, you need to get a system. And I think this is why he's looking at diamonds and stuff, because he's trying to fit decent players, all of them, into the one squad, rather than pick his best 11 because I'm not sure he knows exactly what his best 11 is because we've got so many players. But I agree with you. I think he's a smashing player. I think he brings something completely different. For me, I know a lot of people talk about the fact that Hagi's slow. That's not an issue for me as far as I'm concerned. He's not the type of player that's going to play on the shoulder and bust through the lines and beat a man for pace. He's got technical ability and he'll use the ball to beat players. He'll use the ball to move players. He can thread the ball through that proverbial eye of needle pass. So that for me is something different. But as I said, it's hard to try and fit him into the squad as it stands at the minute. Sorry, no, the squad, the first 11 as it stands at the minute. As I said, and I agree with you. It's for me, he needs a chance, and hopefully he'll get a chance because I think that if he doesn't get a chance, I think it is a big opportunity wasted because I think if he leaves us, I think he's only going to go into better things. I really do.
Yeah, I just want to. By the way, this is such a good comment. This isn't on the last bit, Lewis. By the way, this is where you went from talking about the game to then going on the Hagi tirade. Got from spitting facts acting like Rod Stewart doing the draw in 30 seconds. Cracked me up. What a comment. Yeah, but it's a really good debate that Hagi won because I'm one that I think if we're not playing him, I think he's a sellable asset. So I don't know why maybe we are actively trying to sell him, and I do like him. And when he first came, I thought he was going to go on for make us a lot of money. Right now, I'm just thinking if he's not going to play, then move him on because he's a sellable asset. He's a player that does have value, and we know there's one club certainly that would probably throw a little bit of money at him. So I don't know why we aren't looking at that one. I want to get people's opinions in the chat on this. Yeah, good point from Denzel as well. A lot of tens here. Raskin, Mark. I love Raskin from the first moment he's stepped foot on this pitch. I've thought he's been amazing. It doesn't always come off for him, but I think you can see what he's done. He's very young still, and he's like a little bull terrier, and he just gets in about it. But the last two games, I'm sort of like trying to take off like my blue tinted specs a little bit, and I'm just starting to notice it. He's sometimes really poor when he's distributing the ball, and he can put us into danger quite a few times. And I'd love to know what people think in the chat because I thought he had a good game today, but a bit like Tav, I just thought his passing was so wayward, and I think that players now need to start really looking at themselves in terms of the level they're giving us on everything they do because we've got enough in midfield that if you're not going to give us that, because I think on the opposite side of the pitch, I'm not expecting every pass to be 100% by the way, but on the other side of the pitch, I thought Cifuentes barely put a foot wrong, and again I might have just been seeing this game different on people, but I thought Cifuentes, he was tremendous when he needed to be. He stayed quite. He's one of these players where I think when you don't notice him, that's when he's doing a lot of the damage. But he just wins balls back all the time. Whereas I thought Raskin does something really good and then he'll waste the pass. And I wanted to know your sort of opinion on what you think how he's going so far this season.
Can I really agree with you there, Stu? I think that Raskin for me and Cifuentes were standouts tonight, as far as I was concerned. Effort, tenacity, all right, the odd wayward pass, but I can live with a wayward pass if I'm getting effort, if I'm getting for the both of them look to move the ball forward at all times. And for me, if you're trying to link up and you're trying to move the ball forward, you're never going to get 100% of the passes 100% of the time. It's just not going to be possible. And for me, I see it the kind of opposite side of the coin. I see it as I'm being brave. If you look at the difference between that and, all right, Barisic had a good night tonight, a decent night. I wouldn't say good, but he had a decent night tonight. But Barisic is very much I'll play the safe ball, and he goes back the way. He'll turn and go back, and he'll turn and go back. Now, Raskin for me, I think is a smashing player. When I watch him, what springs into my head is we're not going to have this boy long, and I think we should enjoy him while he's here. I think he's this season he's going to be an absolute brilliant player. Him and Cifuentes have both really impressed me, and I think that they're going to be linchpins of this side, at least for this season. Hopefully for years and years to come. But I think the wee man gets it. I think as I said, he's doesn't know when he's beat. He chases everything. He's willing to fight. He's willing to scream and shout at his teammates. He's no shy in telling people when they're doing things right and doing wrong. And I think he tries to lead by example. So I'm not going to shoot the wee fella down. I think he's been really good. The last couple of games he was quite quiet, but for me he was quite effective. I can't. I really can't see by the wee guy, to be perfectly honest. Him and Cifuentes, I thought were really good tonight. I thought for me, and I'm a big Jack fan. I thought Jack wasn't on par tonight. I think he was very, very quiet tonight. I think he chased shadows a wee bit tonight as well. So for me, I think he just makes par. I think tonight, and probably because we've done well in the second half. Otherwise, I think it was maybe in line for a bit of stick. But I think where midfield is getting to look like it's going to be in a good place. But I can't really agree with you. I think Raskin and Cifuentes, but both of them were really good tonight. And I think going forward, I'm really excited about the two of them. I really am.
Yes, no, I just wanted to listen. I love him. I really think he's going to go for big money. It's just a few things I've noticed about in the last few games where he does. I think Michelle was saying it in the chat. I had about like 2 people agree there, and about 400 disagree. But I just saw, he does seem to. I know he tries to play that early ball, and I like that about playing. I always say I don't mind a guy making the mistake if he's trying to play the right ball, but. To be fair, his passing was at 75%. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was. I did just see a comment though. Where was it? Aldo. I didn't say Tab was better, by the way. Tab was awful. I thought Raskin had a good game. I was just saying that I think some of his passes have been getting cut out a bit easily. That was all. So moving on to the substitutes then, Lewis. We sort of make a few changes. I mean, first off, we don't make the changes at half time, which I think we were all sort of not pleased about, but a bit like Arfield coming on in the Scottish Cup when I was going crazy about that. A bit like Matondo coming on last week, I was going crazy about that. It proves why these people know more about football than me, because they then go and have a big impact. So that the team without the subs obviously did the business. That's all that matters. We do make the subs. Lammers comes on. I think he had a few nice touches in there, and what he gets to them. It's very hard to get up to speed in a game like that. Dessers comes on. What did you make of Cyril Dessers? Because I think the jury's pretty much out on Dessers. I know he's a good player. Whether he's going to get the time to be a good player, I don't know. I can completely admit he's been under par so far. He's not fully match fit. He's struggling to do some of the basics, but then he is doing as I said, the 1-2 earlier with Cantwell was pretty good. He was chasing a lot of the ball down, like not giving up on anything. And then he'll just take his eye off a ball, or he had a really good chance with a header, which would have, I think, lifted a huge weight from his shoulders. What's been your sort of take so much on so far? Sorry, on Dessers.
Listen, I don't want to sound like a broken record on this guy. I mean, my opinion's no change for the last 17 million podcasts I've been on talking about him, but he's no fit. He is not fit. And do you know what's proved it even more? He looked unfit in 20 minutes of football. It's not even like he's played an hour. He's come on and played 20 minutes and he still looks unfit. There's a reason for that. There has to be something else that can be done than just continuing to fling this guy in. And I think it was Wilson in the chat, the last pod I was on, said I used the word catalyst incorrectly. I might need to send him a wee dictionary, because the word catalyst usually tends to mean spur or beginning of something. And when I made the comment that it was tampering with the catalyst of his Rangers career, it means that Beale's not giving him a good opportunity to start his Rangers career on good terms. Because you know how fickle and how quickly this fan base makes decisions on players. We're 4 or 5 games in and he's the worst player in the world. I mean, I've seen somebody 2 seconds ago saying that we landed with De Niro for 4 years. But after the Livingston game, it was he's in it's coming a Neymar. So it's hilarious. Honestly, we're so fickle as a fan base. But Dessers is not fit. He shouldn't have continued to play. I know we don't have Roof in the European squad, so it's a bit of a headache in terms of who plays ahead of him, but he needs maybe some individual training or something, because he's not able to get to grips with the team. So I wouldn't continue to play him. I think it's unfair on the boy. And the worrying thing is maybe he is fit and he's just this bad, so we never know. We'll see what happens.
He's not that bad. I've seen him, right? He's not that bad.
Right, well, he's not fat, so it's not playing.
Les Poldo, look at this, £5. Thank you very much, Les Poldo. Our strikers need to put more chances away and take the pressure and niggling criticisms away from our midfielders and defenders. It's a fantastic point. It's one that I was going to bring up anyway, so thank you very much for reminding on that one. Mark, clinicalness. We need to sort this out because it's plagued us for about 3 seasons. I don't want to start bringing XG into it, but we're always way below where we should be in terms of the goals we should score. And again tonight, and again, even Livingston, we should have taken more chances. Servette in the first game, we should have taken more chances. You know, it's at some point these guys have got to take the responsibility to take the pressure off the midfield and defence, right?
I'm glad you're not bringing XG in it because I've no clue what XG is. I've tried my hardest to get my head around XG. No idea. I can't understand a graph that shows how many goals you're meant to score and how many. Just blows my mind. No, I think that's a great point. I think that's 100% right. I take your point. I think that we've struggled with all players being clinical, especially strikers over the last couple of years. I'm hoping that this is going to be just a bit of sharpness, just a bit of players' movement and players getting to know each other, and hopefully this will all click. If we're still having this same conversation in another 4 games, 5 games, then I'll start to get worried. I think everybody knows my feelings. I think that I'm willing to give the boys the benefit of the doubt. But as I said, to caveat that, I will be not very pleased if we are still having this same conversation in another, say, 4 or 5 games. So I think that they need to step up. I'm pleased that most of the new guys have put a ball in the back of the net, which is a big monkey off their back. Hopefully they kind of settle down and no try as hard as what they've been trying. I think that some of them have just been trying too hard. I think they need to get to grips with the Ibrox crowd, with the kind of expectations that are on players here. I think it's, for some of them, it's maybe a wee bit of a shock, and I think that because of that, they're trying too hard. I think that if they start to play their natural game, I think these goals will come. I think Danilo's a proven goal scorer, and so is Dessers. Dessers scored for fun when he was at Feyenoord, and listen, you don't score what I think he scored between 12 and 14 goals in Serie A in a team that get relegated. So you can score goals. I think that's a great return for somebody in Serie A that's team get relegated. So, and they missed the last 2 months of the season. So that for me is a good return. So that for me tells you that the two of them can score goals in good leagues. So scoring goals in Scotland shouldn't be that big a stretch for them. So as I said, if we're talking about this same thing yet 5 games time, then obviously there's an issue. But as it stands at the moment, you just need to let it play out. It's no. I think the problem, and I've said it before, I think the problem is that we've brought in lots of new players, and our expectation has been massive and really, really high. And I tried to temper that at the start of the season by saying, look, this isn't going to. Every player's not going to hit the ground running, and we're not going to be the finished article straight away. But nobody was listening. Everybody just got caught up in the hysteria, and all of a sudden, now that they're no living up to our skewed expectations, we're now all raging, and we're all. Some of the madness that people are talking is mental. You look through this chat now, and everybody's entitled to their opinion, and I take everybody's opinion on board. But some of it's mad. Some of it is, if you give yourself a couple of hours to go and calm down and come back and read some of these comments, it'll blow your mind. Madness.
Yeah, like people pointing out, Dessa scored 6 in Serie A, but he did play for a team that won 5 games all season, I think, something like that. They were so poor. So I think he ended up with like a 1 in 3. I think on minutes it was 1 in 3, but on games it was 1 in 4. It's not the worst record ever. He was in a really poor side, but we have got something a bit different. I say a bit different. We did do it at the weekend, and people seem to like it, so we're going to do it again. We've got Michael Beale's post-match reaction, and for once, I'm not going to read it out like the old days of caveman style. I'm going to actually have it piped in from our producer. So we're going to listen to that now. Again, apologies if it's just us sitting here looking like we don't know what's going on while we all listen to this. But it comes courtesy of Rangers TV, and here is Michael Beale's thoughts on the game.
Well, Michael, a really strong performance in the end. What did you make of that from your team tonight?
We didn't do well enough first half. I thought we was a little bit passive, and obviously they scored, and the crowd were up in the stadium. We had a wonderful chance ourselves with Danny, and obviously he misses that chance. We're going at half time. We had to have a strong conversation. We were much better second half. We got the fullbacks higher. Borna, fantastic cross, and Tav, something we've seen for a number of years. It was a wonderful goal. After that, we're unfortunate not to go and score 1 or 2 more. I have to say Jack Butland I thought was outstanding, and that's why we've recruited him, obviously.
In terms of the way tonight panned out, having to come from behind, what can that do for the group? A very new group, I guess, going forward.
Well, the game's 90 minutes plus, and sometimes you've got to solve the problem as you go through the game. We'd be lying if we said we were happy with the first half performance, but the second half was much better. More energy, more running forward, and I felt in the end we did a really good job. We saw the game out well. I thought Dujon Sterling come on and did well for the team as well. We were really unlucky with Cyril hitting the post there. It was a big opportunity and it come back to Todd. So there was a couple of other moments where we could have done better. But overall, this was a tough night. The heat was extreme, and the pitch was very slow and sticky. The home fans were up, and we had to dig deep tonight, and we got the job done.
You discussed the strength of your squad at the weekend, and I guess it became so important as the game went on again tonight.
Yeah, I thought Sifu and Raskin had decent games, to be fair. As the night went on, you could see how hard they worked, and we got Todd into good areas, and you'd like to just be a little bit more precise in the final ball. I thought Cyril and Sam come on and added to the work ethic of Abdullah and Danilo, and that's it. We're going to need every single player to max out at this level to get the result we wanted. Now, early in the game today, when you're 1-0 down, you're looking for a response from the players, and we certainly had that after half time, and in the end it was a good result, and it's one that gets us through. I think we'll need to improve next week for sure, but before that our focus is on recovering and Morton at home in the League Cup.
Yeah, just finally, I'll look ahead to Morton and a chance to progress in another cup competition.
Really important. We know this first month of the season we had these Champions League qualifiers, we had important league games, and we got the League Cup. We need to recover. We're playing every 3 days at the moment. By the time the international break comes round, we'd have played 8 or 9 games, but that's the life of being a Rangers player. You need to embrace it, you need to enjoy it, you need to recover well and go strong again. And I still think this team's got to go up 3 or 4 levels to get where we want it to be, and nights like tonight, the togetherness they show will certainly help us in the long run.
There we go. That is Michael Beale's thoughts. Just super quickly, I saw a comment come in. Dessers, by the way, has only ever played in the Belgian top league, I think the Dutch top league, Serie A. He's got 1 and 2.5 throughout his whole career, which is not too bad of a return when you really think about it. And you think in a team as dominant as us, hopefully that'll be a lot more. Back onto the comments, back onto Michael Beale's comments then, Mark. What did you make of them? I think what I liked about his Livingston presser and against that, he does seem to be acknowledging the deficiencies a little bit, which gives me a lot of confidence that he's going to fix them.
I think we all are. I think even on here, we're trying to acknowledge that are a work in progress. We're getting better. As far as I'm concerned, we're getting better. Maybe not as quickly as we'd like him to get better, but we're not going to be great for 90. I mean, no team's going to be absolutely dominant for 90 minutes, especially not on a European tie. So I think that he's quite honest in his thoughts there. But I just see that some of it's a bit truthful, some of it's a wee bit kind of like media training as well, and he's got to be seen to play in the game. So take a lot of it with a pinch of salt. Some of it's face value, some of it's I'm just playing the game here. I'm going to try and keep my cards close to my chest and say the right things that managers are meant to say. But yeah, well, I mean, it was honest there. First half wasn't great. Second half was a lot better. Things that we need to work on. Few players played well. Do you know what I mean? He's not telling it. He's not reinventing the wheel. He's not telling us anything we don't already know, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, Lewis. I mean, he's touched on sort of PSV and saying we're going to go hell for leather and we'll have a right go at them. I think that's the way we've got to play, isn't it? Against PSV. I know. Listen, on paper I fear PSV, but I know come sort of 2 days before next week I'll be thinking we're gonna turn this lot over, and then on the day I'll be absolutely shitting it. But it's, we're still Rangers at the end of the day, and we're going to go in there expecting to get through. I don't care what anyone says.
Listen, this fan base is it's the most two-sided thing that I've ever came across. You've got your guys that cut a bit in the Rangers trackies 24/7 that will tell you that we should be defeating everybody in Europe, and then you've got guys that I'm perceived as a negative Nancy that's like, nah, PSV is going to run us over. But in reality, if you really want to dive into it, it's about tactics. Football. It doesn't matter what name your club has or what reputation your club has. It comes down to tactics, and from what I've seen for PSV, it's a worrying sign, and that's just simply because their wide players are very, very good. Noah Lang is a player that I'm aware of. He looked very, very good in first leg against Sturm Graz. You're up against James Tavernier, who's in the vein of form that he's in. So if you want to dive into it tactically, then it is a worrying sign, but you never know. It's a way to go. We might get something sorted. We might get a bit more a settled style and a settled way of playing. And like I said, Stu, you agreed with me a little. We were worried about PSV last season, and look what happened. So we'll see what happens. It's just we need to deal with Morton first, and then we'll deal with PSV after that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a two-legged tie, and no one really, I think, expected us to go. I know someone said earlier that they rely a lot on De Jong. I thought he was very quiet last time against us in both legs. Did they not bring him off twice against us because he wasn't really doing it? I think he missed a sitter. If we keep him quiet, who knows? But like you say, there's a lot we've got to keep quiet that day, but there's no reason why we can't. We are coming towards the end of the reaction. I want to leave something for the boys to speak about tomorrow on the pod, Thursday on the pod. I lose all my days with the Champions League, so we will wrap up shortly. But we've got one more sort of presser to come from you. We've got James Tavernier, also spoke to Rangers TV. We're going to get his in 2 seconds. I just want to say thank you to everyone for watching. We had over 1,000 at one point. We've got over 800 people watching, so you could hit that like button. Subscribe if you like the content. There's also Patreon where there's loads more extra content, not just football related, and there's interviews that are football related, and there's a whole host of stuff. So do hit like, do hit subscribe, or just keep watching us on YouTube, whatever sorts your fancy. But here is James Tavernier, the captain, speaking to Rangers TV.
James, the squad have progressed to the playoff round of the Champions League qualifiers. What did you make of that game today?
I'm obviously delighted that we're through to the next round and obviously facing PSV. That was the main objective. Just get to the next round no matter what cost. Obviously, slightly disappointed that we conceded tonight. Obviously, our first half performance, but I felt second half we were much better. We're through to the next round. That's the main thing.
Yeah, what was the message at half time? Because we really did see a reaction in the second half.
Yeah, I felt obviously first half that we built through their team really well, going to their final third, and maybe too quick on our crosses or the passes, and we weren't clinical enough with our final pass. So we knew we were going to create chances, and it was all about just making sure our defensive shape was right. If one player is slightly out of position, then they can obviously play through us. But that obviously got fixed in the second half, and we were much stronger. And I thought, obviously Jack made 2 incredible saves for us and kept us in the tie as well. But just delighted that we're through to the next round and something to build on.
And another big European goal for yourself. Just talk us through that one.
Yeah, it's obviously my little trademark going in the back post. As soon as obviously goes to Borna, then I know he's going to cross it with such quality, and I was just in the right place at the right time. And yeah, just obviously delighted when it back in the net, and we're through to the next round.
Yeah, and you touch on that, obviously getting through to the next round. Just how important is that for this squad and for the club, really?
Yeah, we want Champions League football. That's what we want, and we'll do everything in our power to try and make sure that happens. It's going to obviously be a tough game against PSV, but we know we've got to take full advantage of our home crowd next Tuesday, and make sure we're in a really good position going into the second leg.
There we go. There's James Tavernier as well. I can also already see that this is Tavernier. This is, for fuck's sake, Tav. He's going to get it no matter what he says, I think. Mark, what did you make of his comments? I thought, to be fair, although he said a few things about the player being out of position, which is usually him, I thought he made a good point. I think we did strengthen up in the second half. They didn't really break through us. I don't really remember any sort of clear cut moments where they just cut us open like they did in the first half.
I think what he said was right. Our defensive shape was a lot better. We didn't look anywhere near as shaky as we did in the first half. Obviously, that's been a tactical tweak at half time. So, all those that are saying Beale's not got the tactics and a training coach can't make a good manager and needs to eat that. Even the other thing as well, I wanted to bring up as well. Somebody in our group chat made a comment about fitness, and I thought that towards the end of that game, we were by far the fitter side. They looked tired, and we looked as if we were in good shape. So the person that made that comment in the group, I don't even know what they were thinking. Some outlandish stuff getting brandished about tonight. But to be fair, since the start of the season, there's been some outlandish stuff, and you'd think it was some sort of a lunatic asylum that we were all texting from and WhatsApping from. But no, I think it's the same again. Bog standard. How many times have we heard these kind of sound bites that we're progressing this and that? It's no end we don't already know. We're just listening because it's Tavernier and he's talking to Rangers TV. So it is what it is. I'm not taking too much from it. I'm not getting too disheartened. I'm not getting too carried away with things as it stands, mate.
Yeah, to be honest, I was a bit worried when you mentioned someone in the group chat because I was spitting feathers for the first 45 minutes. But I didn't mention. I agree on the fitness. We certainly looked a lot fitter than them towards the end of the game. But that'll do us for this one. There's plenty more to come from the team. So we're back with Rabbit Extra will be on Thursday. I'm sure there's a Patreon release tomorrow. I mean, you always get 2 Patreon releases daily. You get the daily Rabble show, and then you get whatever we release in the evening. It can be a bit of anything and everything. So if you fancy that, please sign up. Otherwise, we will be back on Friday with the phone-in, and then we've got the usual weekend pre-match, post-match, and everything that goes in between. Thank you very much, Mark and Lewis, for joining me on this one. Today, obviously, finished Servette 1, Rangers 1. We're through to the next round of the Champions League. We're one step closer to the dreamland. So let's stay positive, even though I'm the most negative guy. But let's stay positive, guys. Thanks very much.